So this big guy right behind me is the Point Vicente Lighthouse. It has been standing sentry on Point Vicente since 1926. It was managed by the United States Lighthouse Service from 1926 up through 1939 when it was taken over by the U.S. Coast Guard. It's been managed by the Coast Guard ever since. There were lighthouse keepers on premises from the day that it opened up until 1971 when it became automated. Now this is an important landmark in the development of the shipping trade of the Port of Los Angeles. For years before it was built, shippers would complain that the peninsula that we're on right now was just an accident waiting to happen. There were a lot of shipwrecks that happened because there weren't any lights guiding the way around this peninsula. So the federal government was looking for a place to install a lighthouse. They wanted to build one right here. And they actually got into a little bit of a tiff with Frank Vanderlip, who didn't want to give up this particular promontory on Point Vicente to the feds. He actually had the plan to create an artist colony similar to the village of Neri in Italy. But eventually they came to an agreement and the feds bought the land from Frank Vanderlip and they have owned it ever since. So it functioned as both a landfall light, so the thing that said to you, hey, you are about to hit land if you were coming across the Pacific, and also a guide light that helped ships that were entering into the LA harbor get there. So we're very close to the port of LA. It's just a little bit east of here. As lighthouses go, this is a pretty standard looking one. It's white, it's circular, tapers a little bit up to the top, about 68 feet high, made out of concrete, spiral staircase leading up to the top of it inside. And it was powered by a Fresnel lens from around 1910, made in Paris. These are some of the great lenses of the world. And at one time, it had a 1,000 watt bulb shining through it. It was 1.1 million candle power, once the brightest lighthouse in Southern California. In World War II, the Coast Guard was worried that there might be Japanese submarines or ships coming across to California. And so they replaced the bulb with a much smaller 25 watt bulb, much dimmer as you can imagine. In 2019, the Fresnel lens was replaced with a much more energy efficient LED light bulb. And the lens is now housed right down the way in the Point Vicente Interpretive Center. You can still see it today. There used to be a radio room on premises too that would send distress signals over to a communications center so that they could deploy help to mariners if need be. And that was demolished a while back after transistors came into the picture and they no longer needed it. There also was a foghorn here that would give off that traditional boom at certain periods, and the locals thought it was annoying, so they decommissioned that too about 20 years back. It wouldn't be a proper lighthouse if there weren't a good ghost story attached to it. So sometime after World War II, some of the keepers started reporting that there was a woman in a white dress that would walk around on the outside in the evening time especially. Nobody could really figure it out until somebody did. So at some point after World War II, when they reinstalled the powerful light bulb, some of the residents started complaining about this powerful bright light that they kept seeing rotating and blasting their windows every 20 seconds or so. And so they painted the back of the lighthouse with this layer of white paint. It wasn't very thick and it kept chipping, and so they had to keep painting it. And over time, the layers of paint would kind of disintegrate, some of it would stay there, and so the holes in this paint, when the light would pass through it, it would create this strange trailing effect that almost looked like a woman walking around in a white robe. They painted even more and put contact paper on the inside that wouldn't chip, and then the lady disappeared. Magic. So maybe the romance has dissipated a little bit now that we know the story of the ghost and the foghorn isn't here anymore, and there isn't actually a lonely lightkeeper making sure that this lonely lighthouse is in tip-top shape. But this is still a pretty amazing place to be, and damn, this thing is so picturesque, don't you think? Thanks for doing LA with me.